Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, bonjour, bonjour, guten Morgen, bon dia, buenos dias, ohayo gozaimasu, and I think I've done all my languages. You are watching STEPHE'S talk show. My name is Steph. Yes, this is your girl Steph. Welcome. In today's video, as you can see, we have a special guest because we are exploring one of the most exciting investment frontier in the Caribbean and Latin America. My guest is Marcos Isaac. He's an entrepreneur, co-founder of the Travel Pipe and angel investor who help identify emerging opportunities and builds connection between international capital and high growth market like the Dominican Republic. As you understood, today we're focusing on Dominican Republic, and Marcos is here to tell us everything about this wonderful island and the investments opportunity. Hi, Marcos. How are you?
Hi there, and thank you, Stephanie, for giving me the opportunity to join you. I've seen your show a little bit, so I'm very excited about this opportunity, especially because we are talking about a region that is very dear to my heart.
Yes, it is also for me. I do like Dominican Republic. I'm not from there, but I do spend a lot of time in the Caribbean, and Dominican Republic has very something unique, I would say. But yes, I want you because you also from the Dominican Republic.
Yes, I am. I was born and raised in the Dominican Republic, even though my background is a bit diverse, but within the Caribbean, because as I mentioned to you offline before, I have grandparents from Puerto Rico, St. Kitts, and Antigua. So I'm a real Caribbean product.
Yeah, big Caribbean fruits here. You know everything. How many languages do you speak?
Officially, I would say 4 because I do have a Dutch nationality also,
Okay.
and I lived in France for a while, and Spanish my mother tongue.
Tu parles français?
Ouais.
Okay. You speak Dutch. I don't speak Dutch.
Ja,
Speak
ik
Dutch.
kan wel Nederlands.
Well, willend praten. Okay. All right.
Yes.
And Spanish and English. This is already wonderful. 4 languages. Many people struggle with French. I personally French, born French speaking. But many people struggle with the French, and I can see that you are doing well.
Oh, thank you. It depends on what you call well, but in terms of my well-being as a person, yes, I'm doing very well.
All right. So we focusing on Dominican Republic. You are from Dominican Republic, but you also right now you're based in Florida, right, in America.
I've been based in Florida for the last 3 years with my previous role as CEO of the Apartment Network, where I'm still a part of that company, but as a shareholder. But I am now working on a very exciting project, which is called the Travel Pipe. The reason as I told you before, I woke up one night and I screamed to my wife at 4 o'clock saying, my God, the travel pipe. And then she said, what happened? What happened? That's what we need in the Dominican Republic. What is the objective? The objective is to enable those resources or resourceful people that have resources in Dominican Republic to be able to get attention internationally to grow businesses. So what I've been doing so far is supporting, I have a few clients already. I've been connecting people between the Dominican Republic and mostly Europe and a little bit in the US to enable the certain standards that need to be met in order to do what I would call a global standard types of businesses within the travel industry. This is my
What
focus.
do you mean by the standards? Tell us a little bit more about the standards that need to be met.
I will give you an example. I have a client right now, which I will talk about that. I will disclose it later on when it's formalized completely. But I have a client right now that has been having a tremendous piece of land in the Dominican Republic, but he says there's no money there for me to develop this project. And then I tell him, it's so funny. When I talk to the finance experts, they tell me there are no projects in the Dominican Republic.
Really?
And I'm going like, there is a missing link here.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is, and that is narrowing over and over, is that many Dominican projects don't have the sophistication that they need to provide to get the proper attention and the protocols and the clicks and the checklist of the things that need to be done for them to qualify for specific fundings or partnerships, etc. And I try to be the liaison in that sense by providing know-how, support, market studies, and maybe talk the language so that they to enable them to do the job. For me, this is something that I really love doing it. I prefer to stick this to the travel industry, which is what I know best, which is I'm a hotelier by profession, but also worked in other industries such as airlines and travel technology. So I know that area very well, those areas very, very well. And I think also that the Dominican Republic has so many good things to offer and is becoming so sophisticated in so many angles that westernized countries don't hesitate anymore in investing in the Dominican Republic. So the moment is right, is the right one now, and I expect that it'll get more and more sophisticated. If you ask me, I give the Dominican Republic 10 to 15 years to become like the Singapore of the Americas. That's my view.
Wow, this is ambitious.
It's
You
happening.
okay? Because you do have. I mean, in this area, we do kind of have big competition, right? Not far away from Miami, Panama, Mexico. So there is quite some big competition.
I wouldn't, you know, something, I don't like competition.
Okay.
I like to create the new needs and new opportunities, new solutions. Competition is very scarce. If you're gonna go for the gold medal, there's only one gold medal. But if you create your own game, then you are adding value and you're not making anybody else stress, but you are providing value to others. So I prefer more in creating things, new things, and new opportunities, and rather than focusing, competing, and looking at the neighbor. I prefer not to do that. But
Okay, that's good.
if you want to talk about that, Mexico is the number one tourism destination, and the main reason is because they've been doing a wonderful job about that. But also they are big. It's a big country.
Yes. Yeah.
We are a tiny country.
Well, you are still part of the biggest island, so
In the Caribbean, we are number 2 in terms of size and number 1
yes.
in terms of GDP. But in the Americas, we are just a tiny country.
Yeah.
And we are the second one with almost 11.6, last year, 11.6 million tourists in terms of travel and people coming to our country for tourism. So being such a small country and having such a number and growing of tourism is quite remarkable, in my opinion. And I believe that in the next 5 years, this 11.6 million from last year could grow to maybe something like 15 million. So
Okay.
that's quite interesting.
It is. It is. I just want to revert back to what you mentioned earlier in terms of you giving Dominican Republic 10 to 15 years, you said, to achieve, I think, certain status. I 10 to 15. It sounds pretty long for me. Like, I feel like it could be shorter.
It could be shorter. I prefer to be careful because we have a fantastic government right now. And we've had very, very successful democracy in the last 50, 60 years, very, very established. But we have a fantastic government now. And then what I would like to do is to see how the next ones will go, because there will be a new president on the next election, according to the country. So I prefer to be conservative, that maybe things change and they don't go and then they go back up again. I prefer to be a little bit more cautious about that. But to be honest, 10 to 15 years is little time for a country. That's my view. And there are incredible things happening. Companies, for example, like Google, as I mentioned to you before once, they're investing right now as we speak more than $500 million. You
Okay.
have also LOD Holdings creating a space as commercial space company in the southern western part of the island, Pedernales, where we will have satellites and rockets in Pedernales, which is one of the least populated areas and poorest countries areas of the country historically. And now we are throwing spaceships very soon from there. So that is remarkable because it shows you that it's not only tourism. NVIDIA now is creating an excellence center for innovation, an innovation hub in the
Okay.
Dominican Republic, and this is happening. There was a memorandum of understanding on that now. Dubai Port is investing more than $700 million for logistics purposes. So when you start adding all of those things, elements, you will see that tourism still growing very fast, but it's no longer necessarily in the future the one and only driver for growth. Um, the the growth is important. The development is even more so. For example, what do I mean by development? I mean that by the development of the country, I would feel comfortable when I see that the middle class has reached a certain level. It's growing very fast. The middle
Okay.
class, and also I want to make sure with that. One thing I would love to see is that we can keep up with the proper infrastructure as the company becomes bigger and bigger with the foreign investment. Those are the things that I need to see how they will pan out.
Okay. All right. Let's focus a little bit in terms of if potential investor or anybody interested in exploring what Dominican Republic has to offer in terms of investments. Tourism, we mentioned it. What will be the other industries?
Well, I would say that besides tourism, there is obviously technology is a big thing. If there are, if you would have any company supporting all these big North American companies like Google, Nvidia, etc. If you have technology or services that can support these type of profiles, that would be beneficial. Another
Okay.
thing that I think is interested in investing, I would say, is education. I think that in increasing the level or improving the level of education in order to enable local technical engineers and technology experts in the region will help because the Dominican Republic is going to become a tech hub, the tech hub of the Caribbean. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
So education in that area would be interesting. But then you have other areas that are quite mature in a way, like the tobacco industry, the rum industry, the cocoa industry is very important in the Dominican Republic, one of the biggest exporters. So the agricultural business, with the industrial side of agricultural business, could also be something interesting in the Dominican Republic. And obviously, developing more real estate because a lot of people are moving to the country. It's very friendly
Okay.
if you're a foreigner.
Yeah.
You have the same rights as a foreigner and then as a local to buy property and to invest. And there are even incentives, and you can have tax exemptions for tourism and other types of opportunities. This makes the country quite attractive for people to go and move and live there. So housing for foreigners, retired people who retire or digital nomads is going to become more and more important.
So the foreigners can, I mean, how easy it is in terms of visas, and how it easy to enter Dominican Republic
It's
if you're
so
not.
easy you wouldn't believe it. For example, if you decide, Stephanie, to go to the Dominican Republic
Yeah.
and you get a tourist visa and you're allowed to stay, let's say 90 days, if you stay longer, when you leave the country, they will tell you you stay longer than you were supposed to. However, the only thing you need to do is to pay a small tariff for every day that you stay longer, which is not a lot of money. and therefore you can just go there, stay longer, and then you look at how much you need to pay extra. You give your credit card, and then you pay for that for
There
the
is no
excess stay.
limit.
This is not that I cannot tell you that exactly. I will need to double check, but I
Okay.
think the limit would be financially more than anything else.
Days. Okay.
That makes it very easy. Another thing is if you have there is something called the rentista treaty or something like that, where if you make more than $1,500 and you can prove that you have that kind of stable income, you can just move to the Dominican Republic and get a visa for that.
Okay.
There's another way. I think if you spend, I'm not so sure exactly the amount, over $200,000, and to buy a property, you could get your residence already.
Okay.
So it's very easy to move to the Dominican Republic.
Okay. They are very friendly and open to foreigners in general.
Yeah.
And what is the biggest? Do you have an idea of what are the biggest populations in Dominican Republic? I believe Americans, maybe. I don't know.
Well, in terms of traffic, I would say the majority is the U.S. The second is Canada, and then it starts having Europeans in general, and people from all over Latin America. When it comes to visitors, I would say that the second population besides Dominicans there would be obviously our neighbors, Haiti,
Oh,
Haitians. There are many. Yeah, and that's normal because the economy is doing very well, and a lot of people from Haiti would like to find opportunities in our country. This has been regulated by the government in a very effective way, but at the same time, we need to benefit from the expertise or the labor from other countries, and a neighbor is a natural partner in that sense if managed properly. So then that would be their second level of inhabitants, number of inhabitants in the country.
and now you like you mentioned earlier, you said you've seen more and more from the European countries as well, coming to the island.
And that I would say that Europeans was kind of like the majority some years ago, but lately it is the North Americans and the Canadians are really, really enjoying the country and discovering it, because you could get certain levels, similar levels with the proper insurance in terms of medical services. Infrastructure is improving by the day, and some areas are really, really modern infrastructure, like the case of Punta Cana is already quite matured. And in the
Yeah.
case of the Puerto Plata, Cabarete area, that is improving phenomenally fast. You have other cities like Santo Domingo that have everything you need. And Santiago is a very powerful place. It's like, I would say, the Barcelona against Madrid when I talk about Santiago versus Santo Domingo.
That's a nice one. Okay. All right. Let's focus now a little bit more on the real estate in Dominican Republic. Is it still attractive, or are smarter returns now coming from operating business rather than land and property?
Well, there are certain levels of maturity that make give possibilities to every type of investor. For example, if you would like to buy something really, really already matured, consolidated, well known all over the world, you have places like Casa de Campo or Punta Cana Resort, which are quite established. However, you have areas of developments which are fantastic, like probably the case of Cap Cana, which is also very established, but it's so big that has a lot of room for growth because it's really, really big territory. You have other areas that are more individual, like the whole region of Punta Cana in general and Bávaro, which are already established. Still many opportunities, but it's more established. But then you have upcoming regions like Miches, which is more on the north west side of Punta Cana area, if you want to call it that way, that is booming. But if you want me to think about, and those areas are for kind of more established investment of something more mature. But if you ask me, where would you go? I would probably go to the Puerto Plata Cabarete area because it is experimenting phenomenal infrastructure supported by the government. They have fantastic airports. There's the airport in Puerto Plata, the one in Santiago, which is now connecting with a new highway that is going to be built. Will put Santiago, Puerto Plata, and Cabarete within 30 minutes, as opposed to 1 hour plus. Highways coming. There are harbors for cruise lines now there. The area is getting what I would say the right infrastructure. And between Puerto Plata and the eastern coast, that area on the coast on the north is becoming more and more a tourism destination for top luxury travelers.
Okay. Okay. So you mentioned a little bit about it earlier as well, but I think this is something very interesting to know for potential investors in terms of the risk. Obviously, people doesn't know everything about Dominican Republic, so why they decide to invest in the country, they might do some mistakes, right? So what mistakes do you see them commonly make when they enter the Dominican Republic?
Yeah, that's a good point. The first thing, overall, Dominican Republic it ranks right at the top as the lowest risk country in Latin America right now. And that has a lot to do with, I would say, a long democracy, very, very effective, and many rules have been implemented successfully. And the economy is a very strong economy with proper industries, manufacturing, and growth in general. However, they say that the devil is in the details.
Okay. Yeah.
The what I would do is I would be very careful on where would I invest in which region, and there are different levels of risk depending on the maturity,
Okay.
for example, of the region or the industry. That's the first thing. The second thing you want to keep in mind is that you need to get proper local expertise. Get a good lawyer, and they have fantastic lawyers. Don't go blind. Get proper lawyers. Do things the right way with proper professionals. And I'm telling you, there are very good ones. In my case, I get supported by proper companies, even top consulting firms, like maybe one of the big fours could be of help. Like I would say KPMG or anybody else, or proper lawyers, law firms in Dominican Republic is the first thing I would do, because there are so many opportunities that you can end up in the wrong place.
Yeah.
You open your eyes with a big growth, and maybe you enter into something at the level of speculation is too high for what you could afford.
Okay. So yeah, so basically you recommend to not come in the country and invest just like this. It's better to go through the legal, I would say, side of the industry, get surrounded by the right people and start investing. Oh,
Yes, I would try to avoid going and figure things out myself if you're not from there. But I would do the same in London or in New
yeah,
York.
that's true. That's true. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Okay. So let's take a little bit more of action. Let's say like, I have two questions actually. I'm an investor. I have 250K to 1 million something to invest. So how would you think differently at each level of this market? And also why it would be wise to invest in Dominican Republic now and not later?
Well, the economy is growing. Is not, and it's growing out of a solid base. It's a bit similar to a situation that I've seen in Poland. My wife is Polish, and that's why I'm saying this. They
Okay.
have been growing out of a very well thought ongoing plan where the industries are growing. The same phenomenon is happening in the Dominican Republic. So therefore, I don't see a bubble in there. What I see is a proper growth. And another thing that is helping is a relationship with the United States. The Dominican Republic has become even more strategic for the current administration, which the Dominicans have welcomed very much. The world is becoming a bit more polarized, so you need to decide who your partners are. And the Dominican Republic and the United States are strong partners, and that is proving to be quite a success for us. Another element for success, which is outside of our control, but it's been positive, is the macroeconomics, the geopolitical situation around the world has put the eyes on the West. People are quite reluctant in investing, for example, in going east. Situation instability, for example, when you are in Eastern Europe because of the Ukraine situation, or with the Middle East situation, people are bound to say, let's go west. And the Dominican Republic is kind of one of those oases where you feel that it's a safe place to put your money.
Okay. All right. A few of the sectors that most of investors would be interested in. We already mentioned, okay, real estate situation. We mentioned also the education. What about health in Dominican Republic?
Well, health has improved a lot. When I used to live there many years ago, I couldn't count going to a public hospital myself. I would never do that. Now I
Okay.
just saw an interview from an American person who had an accident, like a car accident or something like that, and ended up calling 911, which works very well apparently in the Dominican Republic. And he was taken to a public hospital, and he says the people were adorable, and they were taken care of very well, very fast. What I recommend to do is to use private insurance in the country. We have phenomenal hospitals that,
Okay.
compared to the US, for example, is a lot cheaper. Anything is cheaper than US, I must say. But it's quite a good feeling that you can get top quality hospitals and doctors and still not pay a fortune. And with a proper insurance, you feel very safe in financially speaking also. I I remember one of my doctors was a Mount Sinai doctor, which is one of the top schools for medical purposes when I was living there. So you get the advantage of some of these doctors well educated in the US or in Europe. And we do have some good universities there too. So I wouldn't be so concerned about the health area matter. Also, if you go to Punta Cana and other areas, they are really well reputable hospital like Hospiten, which is a chain from Europe,
Okay.
from Spain. You have the Homes hospitals in Santiago, which is very well known, and other international firms that are having local medical centers in the country.
All right. Perfect. Perfect. So I think we get into the end when it comes to Dominican Republic and this investment opportunity. Now, I would like just to give you, I would say, the opportunity to tell you a little bit more about your expertise as well in terms of a travel expert through the travel pipes. Tell us a little bit more on that.
On the travel pipe, you mean? Yes. Well, my background is basically when I was in eighth grade, a little kid, like almost before going to high school.
Yeah.
I I went to my friend's house and I told him, "Where do you live?" We had to do the homework together, and he says, "I live in Hotel Jaragua, which was one of the main hotels in the Dominican Republic back then." And I realized when we were having doing the homework, we were in this hotel. He was living in the street with his father was a general manager or so. He called room service and he asked for a club sandwich and some juices and stuff like that and dessert. And then 20 minutes later, this waiter came and we had this fantastic lunch. I was a teenager and I said, wow, that's what I want to do when I grow up. I want to be a general manager and live in a hotel like that and order what I want. And that's how I ended up as a hotelier. I studied hotel management
Okay.
and I've been running hotels for some period of my life and then
Yes.
working in commercial roles, international roles in Europe for hotel chains. and then worked for Amadeus, and which is the largest travel IT company in the world in Spain, and had some senior management roles there, and then did similar roles in travel tech in London with a company called Open Destinations, and then also did some work running other travel distribution companies, and with some investments in some of them, like IHTG, who owns Global Airlines, for example.
Okay. And then, so that's your background, and then you open the travel pipe.
Yes. So that my now that I took some time to think what I want to do, and what I want to do is to enable travel travel players to play big time in the Dominican Republic to begin with. That's my primary objective. If I do that, once I'm retired, I will feel that I've done something, to give back to my country. And it's just coming from my heart, more like a passion, more than anything else.
Okay, and you mentioned to me earlier that you open it with your wife, right? Your wife worked with you.
Yes. Josefina, my wife, we met in Cyprus. She's also comes from the travel sector, because she was running villas, and working she was a manager in a hotel too in Cyprus. And when we were in London, she decided to specialize in marketing. Graduated for one of those top marketing schools in London, her master's degree, and ever since she has been an expert with me in doing research, and that's why I'm so. I have acquired a certain amount of details about feasibility and possibilities within the travel industry, but specialize in the Caribbean.
Excellent. So that's nice. That's good. Now we know a little bit more about you and the travel pipe. And now we're going to the next step for this interview. And we're going to start with our little game, the hot seat game, where I'm going to ask you quick questions and you have to answer right away, like not even 2-second wait. Otherwise, it's already too late.
Okay, I want a disclaimer.
Just when you're ready, let's go. Yeah?
Ready.
3, 2, 1. Okay. Best city in the Dominican Republic for business right now.
I would say Cabarete.
Cabarete. Okay. One sector you would invest in tomorrow's with zero hesitation.
Hospitality, real estate.
Okay. Beachfront hotel or tech startup?
Beachfront hotel.
Okay, you need to be quicker. Huh? Let's
Yeah.
go. Biggest mistake foreign investor made in the DR?
Not doing the homework.
Not doing their homework. That's not good. One word to describe the Dominican economy today.
Fast growth.
If you had $1 million today, where would it go first?
To the Dominican Republic, Cabarete area.
You stick into Cabarete, okay?
Yeah.
Most underrated city in the Dominican Republic.
Pedernales.
Okay. Tourism, real estate, or logistics. Pick one.
Sorry, what was that?
You have the choice between tourism, real estate, or logistics. Just pick one.
Real estate.
Deal breaker when meeting a founder.
Lack of integrity.
Okay. Coffee meeting in Santo Domingo or beach meeting in Punta Cana?
Beach meeting in Punta Cana.
I think that's how Dominican Republic like to do business in general.
Yes.
Yeah. One habit every successful investor should have.
5 minutes meditation before you start your day.
Okay, nice. Okay. One habit every successful investor should have. No, sorry, I already.
I don't think you asked that. No.
No, okay.
I would say consistency.
All right, 5 years from now, Dominican Republic bigger in tourism or business?
I would say in business.
Okay, bonus question. If I gave you 100K right now, where are we investing before dinner?
Before I will go to the stock market.
This is it for the question games. It's okay, you're not traumatized, right?
No, I'm good.
Perfect. Well, this is it for today's interview. Thank you, Marcos, for your wonderful insights on Dominican Republic and the whole investment opportunity that this wonderful island has to offer. If I want to contact you, interesting to collaborate with you, how I contact you, where?
Well, you can contact me through LinkedIn, but an easy one is to contact me at marcos@thetravelpipe.com.
Okay, I will put it down anyway on the video once I edit it. Thank you very much, Marco. Thank you very much as well for our wonderful audience. That was Steffi's talk show. Once again, I am your girl, Steph. I look forward to see you to the next video. Once again, thank you for watching. See you.
Bye-bye. Merci beaucoup. Bye-bye.
Merci beaucoup.